Do you foresee him in the future at all as like a big money fight for you that can get you to the States and you guys pack an arena somewhere in the U.S. against David Benavidez in the future?
Yeah, for sure, man. If he wants to come up to cruiserweight, bring it on. You know, cruiserweight's my division. You know, until I move out of it. Hey, what's up, bro?
How are you? Hey, nice to meet you, man. Hey,
bro.
Nice to meet you, bro.
I have a lot of respect for you. You're a great
Hey,
fighter.
likewise.
I definitely want to get a fight in with you in the future. I seen Opetaia right there. It was good interaction. I have a lot of respect for Opetaia. I got no bad words for him, but I let him know that we're definitely going to get that fight in the future. You know, seeing him in person made me want that fight even more. So we got a lot of good things in the future.
Jai Opetaia, how important is it for you to get a chance to fight him without all the red tape in the way?
I mean, I think that's the biggest fight in the world, especially at this weight division. You know, and that's definitely a fight I want. Like I said, I'm not scared of nobody. This is Monstro's world. And if he wants to get that fight, we get that fight. I don't know why he went to Zuffa. We could have made this fight right after this one. You know, but now I don't know if he got stripped by the IBF or what it is. And I'm not going to go over there and fight for his...
The viewers, would you rather see David fight Zurdo or Opetaia? If you ask a Mexican fighter, they don't know who Opetaia is. You know, he still needs to develop a little bit more and grow his fan base. Does it make sense? So if we were fighting Opetaia, people would be complaining. We're fighting a nobody, about somebody that is not known.
It is not smart for David Benavidez to give Jai Opetaia a shot at his name right now because he's hot right now. You go up and fight Usyk while you're hot, and it makes sense. You can always come back down and fight Opetaia if you want to. You understand? If you lost to Usyk, Opetaia fight still there. If you lose to Opetaia, Usyk fight gone. So be smart about this thing. Go take Usyk while the iron is hot. If you beat Usyk, you don't know how to see Opetaia unless he want to come to heavyweight. But if you go fight Opetaia and lose, you don't get a chance to see Usyk, and you don't get a chance to...
It's only the feet that can beat David, right? And possibly him getting caught because he doesn't have a great chin. His chin is good, but it isn't great. I've seen him hurt and down, right? But it's the person with the feet. So it's just like, if he fights Better Beef, then he can catch Better Beef with all of the same shots. But if Better Beef land that shot, and he's an amazing short puncher, David gonna be in trouble, real trouble. He can pursue and he can stay on pursuit from one.
The fighter once labeled as boxing's most intimidating force is now facing an unexpected situation. And for the first time in his professional journey, he appears to be searching for an escape route. David Benavidez has spent years overwhelming entire divisions, wearing opponents down with non-stop punching pressure that often feels less like a competitive bout and more like controlled destruction. His rise has been defined by dominance, intensity, and an ability to break fighters mentally and physically round after round. But everything shifted the moment he claimed a new world title and stood at the very top of the cruiserweight division. At that point, the story took an unexpected turn. Instead of targeting the division's top champion, Benavidez made a surprising move that nobody saw coming. Rather than calling out the biggest challenge available, he began glancing toward other directions, almost as if considering stepping away from the path ahead. That decision left the boxing world confused, sparking one major question that now follows him everywhere.
We've got a lot of fighters that have crossed another street into the Zuffa world, and in particular, Jai Opetaia. How important is it for you to get a chance to fight him without all the red tape in the way?
I mean, I think that's the biggest fight in the world, especially at this weight division. You know, and that's definitely a fight I want. Like I said, I'm not scared of nobody. This is Monstro's world. And if he wants to get that fight, we get that fight. I don't know why he went to Zuffa. We could have made this fight right after this one. You know, but now I don't know if he got stripped by the IBF or what it is. And I'm not going to go over there and fight for a Zuffa title. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that would be a great fight to make in the future. And I mean, I respect Jai Opetaia a lot. He's a great fighter. And I think he has to come back over here to make these fights happen because, you know, we can't make no fights in Zuffa.
So that's what I wanted to secondarily ask, was that, do you feel like fighters are losing their power by going over to Zuffa?
I think that I mean, yeah, I think they definitely are losing the power. I mean, it's just a lot of politics in that. You know, I think Dana White has showed that he doesn't want to do fights with PBC, Dazn. I don't want to even feel like, I don't want to sound like I'm disrespecting him, but that's just what it looks like from the outside. If we could come to an agreement and make a big...
The change in direction became impossible to ignore the moment the referee lifted Benavidez's hand following his commanding win over Gilberto "Zurdo" Ramirez. On the surface, it was a landmark achievement. Benavidez left the ring holding both the WBA and WBO Cruiserweight Championships, confirming that his punching power had successfully carried up into a higher weight division. However, what unfolded during the post-fight media appearances surprised many observers. Rather than pushing for a massive unification clash with the division's most avoided fighter, Jai Opetaia, Benavidez quickly shifted the conversation elsewhere. Instead of calling for that high-risk showdown, he began speaking about a possible return to 175 pounds, discussing catchweight opportunities, and showing interest in a fight with Dimitri Bivol. The sudden redirection felt unusual, almost like the focus was being pulled away from the biggest possible challenge in the division and steered toward alternative options that changed the entire tone of the moment.
So with Dimitri Bivol, he's a great fighter. He's probably one of the best fighters out there today, just because he's so technical. He has good speed. He has good power. But at the end of the day, that's only going to turn emotional on. You know what I mean? So I'm ready for this fight. Like I said, I've been calling for all these fights because I've told you guys I've been 100% ready for this. So what I was thinking, you know, right? How could we make a fight even bigger? I was thinking of maybe we do a catchweight at 190. We get the cruiserweight belts involved, the light heavyweight belts involved, and winner take all. Dimitri said he wanted to fight for the cruiserweight championships before his career was over. So maybe this is we can make a even bigger fight like that.
Can you still get to 75 though, if that's what he wants, to just defend his light heavyweight titles?
Yeah, I mean, I can still get to 175. You know, the thing about is that if I do end up fighting him, it's probably not going to be until like the end of the year, or you know, I mean, it won't be in September. But if I get to work now, you know what I mean, I could get down to that weight, you know, and that's exactly what I'm planning. I'm planning to already get to work, because I know what's next after this, you know what I mean? So I know I have to be 100% ready. Just like I tell you guys, I trained 5 months. So if I'm going against Dimitri Bivol, I'm getting to work like probably next week. You know, I brought my family to vacation this week, but next week we're going to work.
There's a very straightforward and intimidating reason why most fighters would hesitate before agreeing to a contract against Jai Opetaia. The Australian champion is far more than a standard title holder. He is seen as a dominant, natural force in the cruiserweight division. A powerful southpaw with a strong, heavily built frame, Opetaia brings together sharp explosiveness in movement and fight-ending single-shot power. When you trace David Benavidez's path, he originally built his career at super middleweight before making a significant jump all the way up to cruiserweight, adding roughly 15 to 16 kilograms along the way. While he still appeared quick and sharp against a naturally smaller, bulked-up super middleweight like Gilberto Ramirez, facing someone of Opetaia's level presents an entirely different challenge. Those close to the sport have pointed out that the impact of Opetaia's left hand is something opponents feel immediately upon landing clean, and many believe that kind of force could completely alter a fighter's rhythm and confidence from the very first exchange.
I'm not as sure if he beat Opetaia because he's such a big guy and he's explosive, but I'm more comfortable picking David to beat him. The one guy that I think will give David some real trouble is Usyk at heavyweight. I don't know if he can beat Usyk, but the rest of the guys, I think he can beat him.
Okay. Yeah, because Opetaia said that he'll see him soon. Congratulations, champ. People have been talking about that matchup because he is a full, cruiserweight that's athletic. When you look at that matchup and you see that, yeah, I think David will beat him. But when you say I think, what makes you think that it cannot happen?
Well, Opetaia is big, fast, and explosive. And David has good defense, but he's not unhittable. So the fact that David started out at 168 and Opetaia started out at 200, Opetaia, I didn't think Zurdo could do anything with David because he's just too slow getting off, man. You know what I mean? Like everything is not about speed, man. But when the speed difference is that big, you gotta have some kind of like masterful timing or jab or something to offset that. He's just too slow. Opetaia not slow like that. He's twitchy, he's fast, and he's explosive. And David gonna have to be careful. That ball hits you with a left hand and he can knock you out. And he's a southpaw, so he'll have some built-in advantages. He's just it's not a skill thing. He's a different level athlete than what El Zurdo is. And he's young and he's mean and he's gonna be fighting hard. I think David might know a little bit too much for him. I think he might be a little bit too skillful for him and be a little bit too slick. But his raw athleticism and punching power is something David gonna have to beat.
Tension hit its peak when Benavidez was confronted head-on about why a unification clash wasn't being prioritized. His answer instantly rippled through the boxing world, sparking intense debate across platforms like Reddit and Twitter almost immediately. Benavidez suggested that the sport's biggest potential matchup was being blocked due to existing promotional agreements, placing responsibility on Zuffa Boxing. He made it clear that he had no desire to get involved in what he described as promotional maneuvering or to compete for a Zuffa-affiliated championship.
David Benavidez beats B-Ball. David Benavidez beat Jai Opetaia. Hell yeah, he beat Opetaia. Oh, I'm a double down. He gonna beat Opetaia. I double down on that one. He gonna beat Opetaia. See, Opetaia got good feet. Yeah, he can box, but he can be drugged into a fight. And if you know anything about David Benavidez, just like he did with Ramirez ass, he's the one of those guys that's gonna test your heart. He gonna test what you have in here. And once he go to Jai's ass and he tests what he has in here, Jai gonna lose his shit. Jai ain't gonna be boxing and moving around. Jai gonna be looking to fight. Jai gonna get tired too. Yeah, because Jai, if you look at the history of Jai Opetaia, he get tired. Yes, he gets tired. Period. And I stand on that. So, but when we talking about Usyk now, okay? Come on now. Styles make fights. I know, I get it. I'm on the hype train too. I've always liked David. Yes, I've been critical of David and his footwork. And Usyk is one of those guys that can make him pay for what David Benavidez liked.
However, the explanation didn't sit well with the fan base. The reaction online was immediate and intense, with social media platforms lighting up in response. Many dedicated boxing followers pushed back hard against his comments, arguing that he was leaning on business structures as protection. They accused the champion of using promotional disputes as a way to avoid a dangerous matchup that could threaten his perfect record.
I'm not as sure if he beat Opetaia because he's such a big guy and he's explosive, but I'm more comfortable picking David to beat him. The one guy that I think will give David some real trouble is Usyk at heavyweight. I don't know if he can beat Usyk, but the rest of the guys, I think he can beat him.
Okay. Yeah, because Opetaia said that he'll see him soon. Congratulations, champ. People have been talking about that matchup because he is a full, cruiserweight that's athletic. What do you, when you look at that matchup and you see that, yeah, I think David will beat him, but when you say I think, what makes you think that it cannot happen?
Well, Opetaia is big, fast, and explosive. And David has good defense, but he's not unhittable. So the fact that David started out at 168 and Opetaia started out at 200, Opetaia, I didn't think Zurdo could do anything with David because he's just too slow getting off, man. You know what I mean? Like everything is not about speed, man. But when the speed difference is that big, you got to have some kind of like masterful timing or jab or something to offset that. He's just too slow. Opetaia not slow like that. He's twitchy, he's fast, and he's explosive. And David gonna have to be careful. That ball hits you with a left hand and he can knock you out. And he's a southpaw, so he'll have some built-in advantages. He's just it's not a skill thing. He's a different level athlete than what El Zurdo is. And he's young and he's mean and he's gonna be fighting hard. I think David might know a little bit too much for him. I think he might be a little bit too skillful for him and be a little bit too slick. But his raw athleticism and punching power is something David gonna have to be careful with. Remember the Morrell fight where David was winning rounds, but Morrell was shaking David up because he was big and he was strong and he was like physical with him. He was shaking David up with some punches, if you remember that fight. It wasn't a thing where Morrell was winning more rounds than he was, but it was like a danger, like, yo, I just can't do what I want to do with this guy because he's so big and he's so strong and he's fighting back. Well, Opetaia is bigger than Morrell and he's a little better.
A little better, huh?
Yeah, I think he's a little bit better than Morrell.
Okay.
Yep. Not a lot, but I think he's a little better. And he's 25 pounds bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. I see the side.
Outside of the promotional controversy, respected trainers and boxing analysts have begun highlighting a serious strategic concern that could make this fight extremely difficult for Benavidez. The Mexican standout has earned his reputation through a tall, aggressive, pressure-based approach. He consistently moves forward, closes distance quickly, and overwhelms opponents with rapid bursts of 5 to 7 punch combinations that break down defenses over time. However, former champions and experienced voices in the sport caution that this same style may also expose him to major vulnerabilities, potentially creating openings that a well-prepared opponent could exploit.
He squares up. And as you saw, yes, he can make it work for himself. Yes. You know, dipping, getting outside, body shot here, dipping this way, body shot, you know, putting them motorboat combinations on his ass, putting them combinations on his opponent, you know. Hey, single right hand, straight left hook. Oh, David is sweet. Them fast ass hands, he is sweet with it. But when we talking about a bigger fighter, somebody's been reigning at heavyweight, somebody that's has to be perfect or had to be perfect when he faced those bigger champions like Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. Had to be perfect now. Think about that, because all it takes in the heavyweight division is one shot. That's all it takes. And he boxing his way to victory against those guys, top tier heavyweights that are bigger than he is. Come on now. Come on. I get it. He's hitting 40 years old. I understand it. You know, he's getting a lot older, getting long in the tooth. I understand that. Father Time, whatever, is undefeated. But this is a different breed of animal right here, man. Usyk is like Michael Jordan. Usyk is like Terrence Crawford. Usyk is, he's from that cloth. Okay? He's from that damn cloth. So, you know, let's not say that David ain't from that cloth either. However, it's a huge size difference. I think skill for skill, ability for ability, David got skills. He does. But Usyk, he got this. This is where I think he beats David. He gonna beat David with this, right? Oh yeah, and he's the bigger fighter at 6'4", right? With a 78-inch reach. You know, David's sitting around 6.
Because Benavidez fights with a naturally upright frame and constantly marches forward, his head becomes an easy target for a high-level southpaw specialist. Opetaia excels in these exact situations, using sharp foot movement to create angles and step out of the line of attack before firing back with powerful counter shots. Many experts argue that Benavidez's trademark pressure-based approach could end up working against him in this matchup, essentially guiding him straight into range where a proven knockout puncher is most dangerous.
That's the fight that I want to see. Jai has been the man at that weight class for a very long time. And now you got a new player in the division with a hot name and whose stock and whose star power is only rising. That's the fight I believe that needs to be made at the cruiserweight division. We'd love to see Bivol, but for some reason, the light heavyweight division just is not as appealing to me right now. For David Benavidez. And again, I'm not sure that that's the right weight for him to fight, being that he's fought this weight and look the way that he did. I think it's cruiserweight or maybe go up and fight Alexander Usyk.
Since everybody's making these business decisions, Dre, and everybody's doing things the business way, right? It is not smart for David Benavidez to give Jai Opetaia a shot at his name right now because he's hot right now. You go up and fight Usyk while you're hot, and it makes sense. You can always come back down and fight Opetaia if you want to. You understand? If you lost to Usyk, Opetaia fight still there. If you lose to Opetaia, Usyk fight gone. So be smart about this thing. Go take Usyk while the iron is hot. You beat Usyk, you don't never have to see Opetaia unless you want to come to heavyweight. But if you go fight Opetaia and lose, you don't get a chance to see Usyk, and you don't get a chance to make history. That's crazy. You're on a rail right now to do something that nobody ever done before. I went middleweight, super middleweight, light heavy, because I was doing what Bob Fitzsimmons, well, I thought what Bob Fitzsimmons did. I didn't stop at cruiser because there was nobody there for me to stop at, and I really didn't care for the weight class. Now he can go super middleweight, light heavyweight, cruiser, heavy. Go for the, go, like they say, go for the whole thing if you're gonna go for it. Don't waste time with these other guys yet. While you on this roll, go see Usyk. Don't play with second. Why would you play with a guy who's just as dangerous as Usyk, not as known as Usyk, not gonna bring you as much money as Usyk, when you can just go straight to Usyk? That's kind of crazy. That's how boxing misses out on big fights. They go make these other small fights that they think are safe, okay fights, and then those small fights destroy the...
Inside Benavidez's camp, however, a very different narrative is being pushed. Those close to him present a completely opposite version of events, with strong and highly defensive pushback coming from his team. Jose Benavidez Sr., along with other members of the entourage, has openly downplayed Opetaia's achievements, even going as far as dismissing the Australian champion's record in public statements. In various media appearances, they've gone on record questioning Opetaia's durability and insisting that Benavidez would stop him within the opening round. Still, to more experienced observers, this level of aggressive rhetoric appears somewhat excessive. When a team spends more time discrediting an undefeated champion instead of actively demanding the fight, it often suggests a strategy to reduce the opponent's standing and shift attention toward alternative matchups.
The last one, this Opetaia stuff, do you see Zurdo as a more difficult fighter than Jai Opetaia?
Of course, like I said, I'm going to give the respect to Zurdo Ramirez because he's a two-time world champion. He was a champion at 168 also. We've known Zurdo Ramirez for a long time. He's been on the on those big cards, Opetaia just came and it's like what he wants, I want this, I want that, he's mad because Zurdo didn't fight him. He's mad because we're not fighting him. At one point we were like that. We wanted to fight everybody, but it just takes time, You gotta really, for example, I'm gonna ask the viewers, would you rather see David fight Zurdo or Opetaia? If you ask a Mexican fighter, they don't know who Opetaia is. He still needs to develop a little bit more and grow his fan base. Does it make sense? So if we were fighting Opetaia, people would be complaining. We're fighting a nobody, about somebody that is not known. The boxing world knows who he is, because at the end of the day, for Mexicans know Opetaia. So what do you think is a better fight, Opetaia or Zurdo? Of course it's going to be Zurdo, because Zurdo's a Mexican fighter. And he's been in the game for more time.
Was Jai, I'm not saying is the favorite, but when I hear David going 200 and fighting Jai Opetaia, I'm like, ooh, ooh. Yeah. So is it, you say 50-50 and you don't have to lean or predict, but what is it that, what makes it dangerous for David? Because I know that Jai can't sit in front of David all night, but if David can't really plant or get him situated, is it one of those nights where we're going to see a masterclass performance?
If anybody. Yes. So let's stick to the Jai Opetaia and David Benavidez, right? If Jai can use his feet collectively, stay out the way. I've seen fights with him where he lasts a whole 12 rounds continually moving after getting dropped or hurt. You know what I'm saying? So he has the ability with his legs, right? If you can continually make David have to reach for you because he can't simply walk to you and get the shots off, then he's going to have a problem. Why? Because he's going to take chances, right? Now, Jai doesn't have the jab that I want him to have, and that's really going to set up the big shots because it blinds a lot of, you got to blind him with that jab. Keep that jab in his face, making it hard for him to see the shots coming after. And if you can keep that distance and cause him to have to take chances to land those shots, then David is going to have the problem. So Jai has the feet. He has the ability. He put the right game plan together. He's going to beat David. If he doesn't put the right game plan together, David's going to beat him, right? Both of these guys can go for 12 rounds strong. I'm amazed by David Benavidez's energy, man. His last fight against Anthony, I'm just like, man, this dude is like a damn robot. Damn, this boy can go. He is full of energy, man. But he's technically flawed. David has no feet whatsoever. Period, point blank, man. And don't need him.
That different direction is precisely what Benavidez appears to be pursuing at this stage. By redirecting his attention toward a high-profile showdown with Dimitri Bivol, He can remain in the spotlight as someone chasing greatness, while avoiding the severe physical risks that come with competing against a full-fledged cruiserweight. Even Bivol trainer has recently entered the ongoing media discussion, publicly urging Benavidez to stop talking and instead finalize an agreement for a light heavyweight bout. On the surface, targeting a highly technical fighter like Bivol may look like a bold and courageous move to casual fans. However, those within boxing circles interpret it more as a carefully calculated business decision. A fight with Bivol would bring a massive financial reward and a career-defining opportunity, while still presenting a stylistically safer challenge compared to standing toe-to-toe with a 200-pound powerhouse known for surviving brutal battles, including fights where he went the distance with a fractured jaw.
And think about it, Bivol beat Canelo, dominated Canelo.
Yeah.
He beat Zurdo, if I recall, right? That was, I think he dominated Zurdo too.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't know if we talk about him enough, maybe because he's not a U.S. fighter, but that guy's tough to beat.
Oh, yeah. Footwork is cold. Jab is cold, you know. Very, very, you know, simplicity, man. You know, it's a beautiful thing. Fundamentals, beautiful thing. Distance control is a beautiful thing. You know, he uses that high guard very well. His in and out movement, you know, his combinations, they feast flows. Yeah, he's very difficult and got a high boxing IQ. So he's seen it all. And, you know, he's been, man, look, anybody that can deal with the pressure and the punching power of a better BF, bro, I mean, you damn good, you know, but you got to be a master at your craft to be able to deal with that type of punching power, you know. And you know, I'm gonna give Better Beef some credit. He does have a little boxing IQ too. He got an IQ, man. He's not dumb, you know. But yeah, and he beat him, endured what he dished out. Yeah, Bivol.
At this point, everything feels like a high-pressure chess match, where a single misstep could permanently damage a fighter's reputation for being untouchable. David Benavidez now finds himself at a crossroads, with time slowly becoming a factor. He could keep pursuing lighter, more technical opponents at light heavyweight, while leaning on promotional circumstances to steer clear of the undisputed cruiserweight crown. That path may help preserve his unbeaten record and continue generating strong earnings. But the doubts surrounding his decisions are not fading. If he exits the cruiserweight division without ever testing himself against its most dominant force, that decision could follow him for the rest of his career. It may become a lasting mark on how his story is remembered. In the end, the debate remains open. Was it a smart strategic move to protect the Mexican Monster brand? Or will history view it as the moment he hesitated when Jai Opetaia's name was on the table? That brings us to the end of today's breakdown. If you found this video valuable, feel free to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future uploads. Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your take. Until next time, see you in the next video.